Yo, what's up, fam? Before we start the video, please leave a like, subscribe, and share to any and everyone you can, just so we can get out there a little bit more. With that being said, let's get right into the video. The Celtics beat the Atlanta Hawks 129 to 121 to take a 3-1 series lead, headed back to the TD Garden on Tuesday. So the first quarter, Celtics were driving the ball. They were getting great looks. Tatum scored 11 in that quarter. It was great to see him get off to a quick start. DeJounte just continues to hit threes like he's Curry. He's been really smooth in this series. He's been real good, especially from the three-point line, and area of his game that isn't refined yet. But in this playoff series, he's been kind of keeping Atlanta alive with some of those threes. So good to see from their perspective. John Collins, bro, is just he's with us. He's with us, bro. That John Collins is, every time he shoots, I smile. You know what I'm saying? And when a guy like Bogdanovich shoots, when DeJounte shoots, I'm like, oh shit. When John Collins shoots the ball, bro, I know that's a rebound going the other way. And it be so hurtful every time he shoot, because it seems like every time he breaks a wide open shot, the Celtics score off it almost every time. It's just crazy to see a guy who was so effective 2 or 3 years ago when the Hawks made it to the conference finals. They were 2 games away from the finals, losing in 6 to the Milwaukee Bucks, but he got a huge contract after that, and just he struggled to find his role in this team. And then you pick up a guy like DeJounte, who helps Trae Young with the ball handling responsibilities, but then that also takes shots away from a guy like John Collins, and you force him to be more of a perimeter shooter when he's a guy that's in low post area, can shoot the mid-range, a very athletic lob guy. But I really do feel like he's been miscast on this team, and in that Atlanta offense, it's just he's not getting a lot of opportunities, and the majority of his opportunities are from the outside, and he's not a great shooter, and he's exclusively playing the power forward, either next to Capella or a Kongu. So he's not even playing to his strengths on a team that needs shooting, and he's not a great shooter. I just don't know where they go with John Collins after this season, but in this series he's been really good for the Celtics. The Celtics were having trouble with the pick and rolls all game. That was a big thing in game 3, where Trae finally got off a little bit. DeJounte kept staying hot on that, just getting wherever he pleased on the pick and rolls into the mid-range area, and Trae really diced us up in that. Once he found that he had opportunities to get downhill, pass it, hit that floater, it was definitely a problem early. The Celtics kind of switch the coverages sometimes on some possessions, and it did work, but I do think they need to shore up that end of their defense, because with a guy like James Harden and Embiid, hopefully they're not running a lot of pick and rolls, but this is a pick and roll league. A lot of teams continuously run that action, and yeah, not everyone is as explosive as Trae Young, and not as great of a passer as Trae Young is, but we need to short that up if we're gonna go far. And yeah, the first quarter, it was just how far the drop guy was in that pick and roll was just hurting us. Tatum was aggressive in the first quarter, which again I like. Atlanta bench was not showing. Bogdanovich, who killed us in game 3, missed his first 2 shots. Sadiq Bey wasn't doing all that. Jalen Johnson wasn't all that. So it was great to see that the Hawks bench wasn't scoring 40 points on 80% shooting again. And the Celtics were crashing the glass. They kept Atlanta off the offensive rebound in this first and second quarter, for that matter. And they controlled the boards the entire first half. They held Atlanta to 1 shot, 2 second chance points the whole first half. So that was a good job by the Celtics. On to the second quarter, Muscala got some run before Grant. It's been like a huge discussion on like who's that 8th man. Is Grant gonna play this series? Because he hadn't played against Atlanta a lot in the regular season, but then he comes out game 3, has 14 points, hits all of his shots, and was a contributor to that close loss. You know what I'm saying? So Grant didn't play this game. He played like a minute, and Joe decided to go with Muscala early in the second quarter. I actually did like how he's playing the pick and rolls. He was showing and being able to get back to his man. It kind of caused some confusion for Atlanta. They didn't score a lot on him, so I guess it was cool. Robert Williams, of course you're going to hear his name a lot, but he had an incredible game. He finished with 13 points and 15 rebounds, 2 blocks, 2 steals, and 3 assists. I want to say he had a double-double, but if not, he had 8 points and 12 rebounds. The energy. Marcus Smart played a great game. Derek White played a great game. It was just the Celtics had the energy. They were all locked in. They were engaged. There's a lot of things that you could say about Smart, about his game, that you could kind of say that you don't like, but you can never question his heart. He plays hurt. He plays through a lot of things, so I'm glad that we have him. Celtics had a 12-point halftime lead. They shot 50% in the first half, won the rebounding battle 33-24, which has been a huge problem for the Celtics in the series. They led the transition points 12-4. Derek White had 15 in the first half. Rob had 8 and 12. And points in the paint, which has been kind of a shift. The Celtics were a team that dominated teams from the three-point line, but the first 2 games, they dominated Atlanta in the paint. Game 3, they took a lot of threes. They hit a lot of threes, but in the first half, they had 28 points in the first half to Atlanta's 16. So that was good to see too. In the third quarter, the Hawks got out to a great start. Capella had 8 early points, and they started to get those offensive rebounds again. Trey was destroying us in the pick and roll, getting downhill, throwing lobs to Capella. Tatum just he shot 13 threes in this game, and I don't understand, because he gets whatever he wants when he drives the basketball, and it's just sometimes he just decides and he settles for contested threes, which I know he can hit, but it's like when Tatum's like aggressive going downhill, the Hawks have no rim protection, and it's proven by the points in the paint the first 4 games of the series. And when Tatum just decides to drive, it opens everything up. It opens his passing, it opens his 3 too. Just him coming out and shooting 13 threes, and you know, a lot of them were contested threes. Again, even though he can hit them, I would just rather him play with the aggressive mentality, because the Hawks don't have rim protection. There isn't anybody stopping him getting to the rim and at the rim. And Jaylen Brown, when he took that mask off, this team does not work if he's not scoring 27 points a game, if he's not the all-star Jaylen. They really needed him. They really, really needed his second half after he had 22 in the second half of his 31 points. I don't know what it was about the mask, but when he took it off, he turned into the old Jaylen, so glad he did that. And also in that third quarter, it was just, again, the Hawks got so much penetration in the paint. They were lobbing up to Capella. Trae Young was getting downhill, hitting that floater, getting fouled, and it was allowing the offensive rebounds to shine again, because when Trae got to the paint, Rob or Al had to contest him. Capella was getting wide open second chance opportunities along with Okongwu. But the one thing that kept us afloat at the start of it, of course, was Smart again. He hit a 3, he had a dunk, and he was just, the team needed his energy, and they started playing with his energy in the fourth quarter. And in the fourth quarter, something I thought that was interesting was Rob starting the fourth with 4 fouls. I didn't think Mazzulla was going to put him out there that quick, and it was kind of crucial because he picked up his 5th foul early in the fourth quarter. And I thought he wasn't going to play again, because Rob hasn't closed the first 3 games. We haven't seen Rob close in a long time. So with him picking up his 5th foul with 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter, I thought I was going to play the whole fourth quarter just like he did last game in game 3. But I'm glad Joe Mazzulla stuck with him. He trusted him to not pick up his 6th foul in a crucial opportunity. And Rob came up absolutely huge in this game. Okongwu had like 3 offensive rebounds in the first minute of this quarter. Not a great start, of course, but they showed it up later. The aggression from Jaylen Brown, 12 points in this quarter. We need him to be that second scorer. Like, this doesn't work if he's not aggressive. And then with Celtics were up 10 with like 6 minutes left, Atlanta got into the bonus. I was really concerned that Trae Young was just going to start flopping all over the place, and they were just going to give them a lot of calls, and they were going to start creeping back. The time was going to stop at the free throw line, and it was going to be tough for the Celtics to keep them off the free throw line, but they ended up doing a good job at that too. And then clutch plays from Jaylen Brown. I think Atlanta got within like 6. Brown had 3 clutch plays in a row. He had 2 assists to Rob right under the basket. And then I think Tatum threw a transition pass to him all the way down the court. Jaylen Brown saved it, and it ended up in Tatum hitting 2 free throws. Rob also was very clutch in that fourth quarter. He had an assist to Jaylen in the corner for 3. He had an offensive rebound that led to a make. And I don't want to say the play of the game, but a really important play is when the Hawks were down 8. Capella stripped Jaylen, but Rob dove on the floor, saved it, and it led to a Jaylen dunk. It was just great to see Rob out there healthy and impacting the game. So yeah, just some final stats. Of course, the game was 129-121. The Celtics had 56 points in the paint. Atlanta had 44. The Atlanta bench cooled all the way off. They only had 21 points, while the Celtics bench had 30. I think Brogdon had 14 and Rob had 13, and Sam Hauser hit a 3, so that's the 30 right there. Celtics also won the fast break points 18-8. I love when they play fast and they push the ball, because you have guys that are super athletic. You have guys like Smart, White, and Brogdon who make the right decision almost every time and are great passers and are great finishers in their own right. And then you have a guy like Rob you can just throw it up to at any time. And then, of course, you have those 2 athletic wings that can score at any time and at any place on the court. Now, onto the players. It was just remarkable how different Jaylen was when he took the mask off. I don't know if it was he needed a change or a shift in energy, but with the mask on, he was 1 for 7, had 2 points. Took the mask off, 11 for 15, 29 points. And if this was the change he needed to make to get regular season Jalen back, I'm all for it. I thought it was his hand. Probably was his hand because of his handle in the first three games. It wasn't as sharp, and he wasn't like blowing past people. And again, he was just less aggressive. And I think when this guy's going and you have another guy that can score 30, this is a 7-man rotation that is better than any in the league. They just need to find out who that 8th guy is, whether it's Grant, Hauser, or it could be some Blake. But it's glad to see Jalen back. Easily his best game of the series. 12 of 22, as efficient as always. Even if he's not as aggressive as he was, he's always efficient. So that was good to see. Again, I talked about Tatum, his shot selection, and like his mentality sometimes wavers, and it did last season in the postseason a lot. 13 threes is too many. Now, he had a great game defensively. He got to the line 12 times, which is a recipe for success for Tatum. But that fourth quarter, he had 16 points. That's what you need. He can struggle all he wants, but in the fourth quarter, you need your guys to step up, and that's what him and Brown did. He had 3 blocks. Again, playing great defense. I just wish he would realize that he can make most of his money in the paint, driving and kicking out to his guys and getting to the free throw line. Marcus Smart with that energy, 19, 4 and 4. He set the tone. He was commanding our offense, and he's just the heart and soul of this team. He's the guy that's rowdy. You know, he's getting the buckets. He's dunking. He dunked twice. I don't remember the last time he's dunked twice in the same game. He's twisting his ankle, getting back up, playing the game like ain't shit happened. He's a warrior, not a Golden State, but he's a warrior, and every team needs a guy that just fights to the end. And he just happens to be our point guard. He's the head of the snake. You know, you just gotta follow his leads. He's not perfect, of course, but his effort, his intensity, and his mentality will never be questioned. And these are the type of guys you need to win a championship. And this is a team that's well on their way if they stay healthy and their guys contribute like they did tonight. Derek White, 18 points. He's just still a solid guy. And again, he's reinvented himself. You get 18 points from Derek White last season in the playoffs. That was a revelation, and it was a bonus. This season, we expect him to get 15, 18 points because that's just how much he's improved. I would like to see him and Smart and Brogdon get a hold of Trae Young again like they did in the first 2 games, but other than that, this guard rotation is unstoppable. And then Rob, of course, him and Al just single-handedly like changing the boards and just not allowing Atlanta to get a lot of second chance points. Rob, very impressed with him at the free throw line. I remember when he came in, he was like 50% free throw shooter, and that was an area that he had to improve in to be a more successful player. Then in the second half of last season, he started turning himself around in that department, shooting about 75% from the line, and then in the playoffs, he shoots 89% from the line, and it's like this guy has improved drastically out of nowhere shooting free throws. Then he comes into this game, 13 points, 15 rebounds, of course, 2 blocks and 2 steals, and a couple great passes at the end of this game. And he just changes the complexion of this roster. There's no one that brings the things that he brings as far as his athleticism, his length, his hands. He's very smart, and the intimidation factor of just seeing him in the paint, it makes guys like DeJounte and Trae think twice about, you know, shooting that floater or something like that. So just props to Rob. Hopefully he stays healthy and can impact the game like this in the later rounds. And Brogdon, of course, just a part of this 3-headed monster at the guard position. He had 14, 4 and 4, and the great thing about all of our guards is that they have size. You know, Smart 6'4", Brogdon 6'4", Derek White 6'5". They're strong, they're quick on their feet, they're quick laterally, and they all have all-around games. They score, they pass, they rebound, and they defend. None of our guards are one-trick ponies. A guy like Trae Young is a one-trick pony. He's all offense. You know, he's not a guy that's gonna help you defensively. Bogdanovich is a one-trick pony. He's a guy that's gonna do well offensively. He's gonna have high gains, but defensively, we're gonna look to take advantage of him. The Celtics have a rare combination of 3 guards that are two-ways and that have great all-around games. And there's no area that you can pick on them at because they all, again, shoot, score, assist, defend, and rebound the ball. This is not something that's normal to have 3 guards at this level. So I just hope as fans we don't take that for granted, and the Celtics don't take that for granted either. Last but not least, Al Horford did not score a point, but was ultra effective in this game. 11 rebounds and 5 assists, just holding that paint down with Rob. Of course, I would like to see him hit those threes, but everybody has their games. Al has been great from the 3-point line this series and this season overall. Him, Brogdon, and Hauser shot over 40% from 3 in the season. I fully expect Al to not have another scoreless game this playoffs, to be honest with you. So he still had his impact, so I'm cool with that. But thank you guys. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe. And just tell me if there's any other series you would like me to talk about. But in the meantime, it's Nick. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.